Did you realize that there's over 400,000 garden tool injuries per year? Well, we got Johnny from Johnny's Garden here. He's going to let us know about that and some other safety issues. We're talking garden safety today. Great to have you here, and tell us a little bit about some of this. So, tool safety. I didn't realize there'd be that many injuries.
There are so many injuries with regard to tools in the garden. It's just crazy. Everything from storage of your tools, make sure they're secured properly so they don't fall down on top of you, to where they're placed in the landscape, while you're not using them. And you can, that classic cartoon where the rake comes up and
you hit the bottom of the rake and it comes hits you in the face.
That's the kind of thing. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that you've got to be aware of when you're out there, doing your fun in the garden, because that'll ruin your day pretty quick.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you think about these tools, they're pretty heavy duty, a lot of metal, wood, that sort of thing. And so, yeah, do keep in mind the safety factor.
That's right. And tools, not only are they sharp, most of the injuries happen from when you're either grabbing them or, not necessarily when you're using them. And that's where you get into, your safety, what you're wearing as far as gloves and things like that. So there are lots of things to consider in the garden as far as safety. And we want to make sure you guys are considering all those things. And
also probably rushing. If you're trying to get through the task rather quickly, maybe think about it, slow down a little bit, and really think about what your next step is going to be.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's the tool safety. And then storage, of course, you think about if you're trying to arrange your garage so it all is nice and everything fits, but make sure you have secure holdings, and then you're not trying to add too much clutter and then something might fall.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the way your ladder's stored, outside, if you have a wood ladder, you want to store that inside, because otherwise it'll get brittle and then it becomes unsafe. So
yeah. Okay, now let's move on to the chemical safety.
Chemical safety, real important to wear nitrile gloves and that type of thing, and really have a good knowledge of what the chemical is that you're using and how to handle it properly, because that's another big problem with garden safety, is the way people handle and use chemicals with regard to the proper mixtures and things like that, and make sure your devices are working well. If your spray bottles are working or leaking, and just discard them and make sure they're discarded properly.
Okay, and then talking about element safety, give us an idea of what
element
this
safety
means.
Now, items in your landscape like steel edging, or the strapping on the trees has a little wire that goes over to the stakes. Those are all things that are very conducive to injury, not only to you, but to your kids and to your pets. Steel edging has a real sharp edge on it, so you want to make sure it's installed properly. And there's also, if you have pets and you're concerned about that, there's also a nylon edge you can put over the top of that. And there's new edging now that has a rolled edge, so that's a lot safer.
Okay.
So things like that you need to consider as well.
Okay. So now if we have questions, we can always, of course, come to you guys and ask you to help us out with this.
Absolutely. We'd be happy to talk to you down at the Garden Center about garden safety and things you can do to keep your family and pets safe.
Okay, and then of course with the weather getting a little bit cooler, at what temperature should we be putting the blanket on our plants? Right at 32?
Well, if you're concerned about protecting annual flowers, you're going to want to do that when the temperatures start to get into about the 36 range. So if we're looking at a low temperature of around 36, you're going to want to protect those.
Put them on, and then so basically a blanket, a sheet, a towel.
It's best to use like a landscape fabric or something the air actually moves through, as opposed to plastic.
Okay.
Plastic will actually transmit that cold, and so it'll actually nip the plants underneath it. So you're going to want to use something, like a sheet or something.
Okay, did not know that. All right, yep. Johnny Rosenfeld has all the answers for your gardening needs. Reach them at 827-9200 or on the web, johniesgarden.com, and they're located on your way to Minturn. We'll be right back. Tracy's going to give us some more weather details up next.